Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
From radio to TikTok, advertising is still a powerful and necessary activity to stand out from the ever-increasing crowd. Charley Stoney, the CEO of the Institute of Advertising Practitioners in Ireland, joins me now to discuss the ever-evolving nature of the advertising world and why brand awareness is still king. Charley, we'll be discussing IAPI and the changes within the advertising space, but I'd like to hear about your experience in the marketing and advertising world.
Well, first to say that I'm very, very old. So I have spent the last 30 years working in this industry in one guise or another, both across the UK and Ireland, on the agency side and also on the client side in the UK, working as a marketing specialist in a bank, in an e-commerce business, and then moved back to Ireland in 2003 at the height of the Celtic Tiger, and worked for the biggest agency in Ireland, which was McConnell's.
So what has been the greatest principles about marketing and advertising that you gained in your career, both on the client side and also the agency side, that you can still apply today in this modern world of advertising?
Well, I suppose the principle that has really led to some of the greatest campaigns and business successes globally remains the same, regardless of what channel you use. And so that principle is you need to start with the insight. So, the insights being what is the consumer insight. So in terms of who you're targeting, what do they feel, believe, what is going to engage them emotionally with your brand and keep them loyal to your brand? And then the insight from a brand or product or service, what is the problem it solves for your customer? So, once you have that, then you can start building a brief and being creative.
It's an interesting point that you make, and of course it's embodied in the whole area of research. So from your experience, what is the best way to gain those particular insights?
Well, living and breathing your consumers' lives, really getting in touch with what's out there. And I think that's one of the issues that we have in this very, very fast-paced world, in that you have to absorb, say, Irish society as it is. You have to go out there, you have to walk the streets, you have to see, you have to visit stores, you have to go and buy the products from the stores that you're representing. You have to go and experience those brands. And I think a lot of the time, and where campaigns can fall flat is when the people creating those campaigns, whether in marketing departments or through agencies, haven't gone out there and lived and breathed the culture of the consumers they're targeting.
So provide us with an insight into the type of work undertaken by the Institute of Advertising Practitioners.
We call ourselves IAPI, in terms, and instead of sort of spelling out the Institute of Advertising Practitioners, because we're so much more than advertising puts you in a box these days. And because our members are made up of events companies, experiential companies, digital agencies, creative agencies, media agencies, it really covers the whole gambit. With the work we do, our purpose is to promote Ireland and the Irish industry as a centre of excellence, both domestically and abroad on a global stage. And our second purpose is to make sure that we maintain our position as a vital part of Ireland's economic growth, because the work that brand marketeers and agencies do together every single day, yes, sells products, which after all is keeping the economy afloat. It also creates social change. It also raises much needed donations for charities. It launches new innovative products that help people's lives. And, we promote businesses that help businesses perform better. So all in all, we have been given a hard time for so long for selling, but actually, once it's authentic and it's done, in a specialist manner, which our member agencies do, it is something that consumers are very willing to engage in and partake in, particularly at the moment when there's such latent consumer demand.
And of course, fundamental to effective advertising is creative communications.
You're absolutely right. And I hope maybe you were watching our inaugural Effie Awards Ireland ceremony last Thursday evening on the 23rd of September. The recording is on our website, which awarded the most effective Irish campaigns. And effectiveness is such an important piece of the puzzle. Effie's is unique in that it's a global awards program. It runs in 80 different countries. So those winners that we awarded last Thursday, on Thursday, are really the best of the best and can benchmark themselves now against marketeers and agencies in the US, in Australia, across Europe, in Latin America. Did they describe an insight that was really unique to the brand, to their consumers, to what they're trying to achieve? Then did they spell out the objectives, sufficiently at the outset of a campaign? And then did they achieve those objectives? And then, a third of the total marks goes towards the creativity. So what we're not awarding are pure, I suppose, product sell campaigns that run that are hugely successful because they're price led. What we're awarding is campaigns that emotionally connect with consumers and tell a story that are equally effective in selling, and probably more so for the long term because consumers feel that emotional connection with the brands or product that's being promoted.
When businesses over the years would have engaged in advertising campaigns, they would have went down one of two routes, one of them being a brand awareness campaign, whilst the other one was very much a call to action. And it was always understood by SMEs that they were never big enough to invest in those brand awareness campaigns to build that share of mind. So they almost all of the time focused on their call to action campaign.
Yes, and what's been proven time and time again over the years, and again with all the case studies that we will have that we're launching through our awards program for Effie, is that it really doesn't build a brand in the long term. And for sustained success, for sustainable businesses, you need to build a brand. And there's a lot written about this, and the average sort of split, I suppose, between brand building is about 60% brand building and about 40% call to action. Because if you build a brand, you're halfway there in the consumer's minds before you even start trying to sell them something.
I do also want to speak to you about business-to-business advertising and how that particular model has changed in recent years. What's effective now in that world, and what do you see to be the major changes that have taken place?
Well, I think business to business is still something that needs to it's still very tricky for business to business marketers to get their head around the fact that their target audience are consumers and are human beings. And I know that sounds very basic, but at the end of the day, you've still got to engage emotionally with the people you're doing business with, which is why, we have such a high level of success with kind of the more traditional kind of account management scenarios for B2B. I don't think it's as innovative as it could be. But then again, it's about what you want to do with your brand. Do you want to build a brand, or do you have a very, very tightly defined target audience that is very niche?
And finally, Charley, if you had a crystal ball and could foresee what the world of advertising would look like in 2025 to 2030, what will have changed most from now to then?
Well, if I had my way, the Irish industry will be seen as the centre of excellence for brands and marketeers wishing to target the European market, given that we're now the only English-speaking country left in the EU and that our creativity is top-notch at the moment. And I think that will be wonderful for Ireland's economy and for everyone working in the industry. I think we remain an incredibly attractive place for international creative talent to come and work. And, our proximity to the big tech who have moved here is going to be, make that even more attractive. And what do I see? You know, I'd love to see Ireland leading the way on a lot of creativity and a lot of strategic areas of our industry. And it will continue to change. And I would love our hybrid model or remote working to continue in the way it has done, because I think that's breathed new life into the industry and brought new people into the industry. And finally, I would love to see a much more diverse and fully inclusive industry. We're making inroads. We're doing our best. And we're pushing diversity and inclusion to the fore, really, of everything we do. And this means that, you know, we need to see more people from DESH schools. We're working with business in the community to do that right now. We're working with Open Doors Initiative on bringing in, you know, disadvantaged youths into our industry. I'd love to bring back a proper apprenticeship model for the industry. And then, of course, we'd love to you know, have more people from different ethnic backgrounds and different cultures in the industry, because I think that's more reflective of how Irish society is today.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Charley Stoney, the CEO of the Institute of Advertising Practitioners in Ireland, and we hope that Charley's ambitions for the advertising industry in Ireland are realised.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast